guys, welcome back to another episode of Get Wedding Ready with me, Wura Manola. Today I am all the way in Puerto Rico and I thought where better to film my top wedding destination planning tips but right here in the Caribbean, which is the hub for destination weddings. So guys, this video, as I've let the cat out of the bag, is going to be my 10 top wedding destination planning tips. Destination weddings have always been big. I feel like 1 in 3 or 1 in 2 people want to have a destination wedding. A destination wedding is a wedding that occurs anywhere that is not your country of residence or your home country. So for example, if you are from Nigeria and you live in London and you're getting married in London, that would be a destination wedding. Put it in a very easy way. Anywhere you have to fly a lot of people to is a destination wedding. So this video is for anyone who's thinking of having a destination wedding someday. Someone who's thinking, I want to have a destination wedding, but kind of like, surveying it and see if it's a good idea. Someone who's already in the process of planning their destination wedding but hasn't gone that far. And anyone looking in faith thinking, I'd love to get married somewhere exotic. This video is for you. Planning a destination wedding is different from planning a normal wedding. There's a lot of things you need to factor in that I will be sharing with you in this video. So let's get straight into it. So the first tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is to start early. Once you get engaged and you kind of feel like you want to have a destination wedding, you need to start planning as early as you can, because as you're not in the same country, you'd have to visit the country, a couple of times to sort out your vendors and make sure you find the right venue and all of that. You need to sort out accommodation and flights, and that can take a long time. You need to organize your guests as well, because remember, you are the one inviting these people to come to another country. Give guests the opportunity to plan ahead. Remember, not everyone would have to fly, get accommodation. So the earlier you start, the better it is for you. So all these things take so much time. You need to make sure you leave enough time. Don't start planning a destination wedding as though you're planning a normal wedding, because there would not be a lot of time and you rush, and that's the last thing you want to do, to rush when you're planning a wedding in another person's country. Make sure you leave enough time. Start planning as early as you can. The next tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is it's so important for you to research the country you're going into. The first thing you want to find out is this country safe? Is it a safe country? Because obviously now with terrorism and theft and everything that's going on in different countries, there are countries that are being flagged, for not being safe. So a country that you might be thinking, oh, it's beautiful and I want to get married there, might not be safe, and you don't want to risk yourself and your guests. The other thing about doing your research is also to find out what are the marriage laws and rules of that country. For example, I found out that for Puerto Rico, there's a lot of blood tests that are involved. There's a lot of, wedding certificates that you have to confirm. So you just need to make sure that wherever you're getting married, you do your research. I got married in Newcastle, but then I live in London. Although it was in the same United Kingdom, it's still another city. So it was kind of a destination wedding. And because I was going to get married in a Catholic church, I had to be going to church for 2 weeks straight because I'd never been to that church. So you need to find things like that. You just can't wake up one morning and say, oh, I want to get married in this country. You need to research the laws of that country when it comes to, marriage. The other thing I would say is you have to research the culture. Is the culture in line with you, with your beliefs? You don't want to get married in a place where it's uncomfortable. So you need to make sure you research the country you're thinking of getting married in, so that you have all the information you need and you're not caught off guard. And it's not a matter of you planning your wedding and because of something you haven't researched, going into your wedding, you'd have to cancel the whole thing. The next tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is budgeting. You need to budget to the bone. Like, your budgeting has to be on point. This is not a regular wedding. When you're going to get married in another country, you have to factor things like currency exchange rates. You want to make sure you're on top of that, because every week it changes. So you want to, and it can affect your budget. It can increase or decrease your budget. You have to factor things like taxes. Some in the UK, taxes are included in everything, whereas in the US, for example, taxes are added on. So you might just be creating your wedding budget all along and not add taxes, and at the end of the wedding budget, you might realize that, wow, 5 grand more, you know, is on taxes that I didn't account for. The other thing you need to bear in mind with budgeting is shipping costs. Because you're not getting married in your home country, a lot of things are going to be shipped out, and that can easily rack up a bill. So you need to make sure that on your budgeting, you're on point. The other thing you need to factor in is flight accommodation. Where are you going to stay? How are you going to get there? You know, and are you paying for any of your family members? Are you paying for any of the guests? You need to factor in these, you know, in your budget. And the last thing I'm going to say is destination weddings can easily be very expensive. So please, by all means, be very careful and be very strict with your budget. Don't treat your budget like it's, you know, a regular wedding, because it's not. So the next tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is to choose an ideal location. The reason why I say ideal location is because people will get crazy about destination weddings. Some people want to get married in places that they can't even pronounce the name. Some people want to get married in like the whitest sand place ever. Some people want to get married in like the richest, you know, one of the ancient places with so much history. And you need to realize that some of these places are not easy to get to. Some of these places are really expensive, and also some of these places, you know, the weather is not conducive. So you need to make sure you choose an ideal location. For example, if you're thinking of getting married in the Caribbean and the Indian Ocean, that's, you know, everything with your Maldives, your Mauritius, your Seychelles, your Barbados, your Jamaica, all these places have, you know, what they call their dry and wet season. And when it rains in places like this, it pours down. So you need to make sure that you find a location that, you know, is weather friendly in the time that you're planning to get married. The next thing I'll say is think about flights. Are there direct flights to these places? Let me tell you, if you invite me to your wedding and I need to take 3 different flights to that place, honestly, unless you risk your life for me, I don't see it happening. No, I'm sorry. You don't want someone coming to your wedding and just being so pissed off because of how many flights they have to take to your wedding. So make sure that you choose a place that is accessible, so easy to get to. Another thing I would say as well is you need to make sure that that place as well, and I come to this, you know, has a lot of you know, agencies that plan weddings. If you go somewhere that a lot of people don't really plan destination weddings, you might struggle. So I would say when you're choosing an ideal location, make sure you choose a location that has a lot of, you know, wedding planners, a lot of wedding agencies. Wherever you're choosing should be a ready, available wedding planning destination place. So after you're choosing your location, you want to make sure you choose the right venue. Now, there's no point going to a beautiful place like Puerto Rico and renting a hall. Why are you inside? No. So you need to make sure that you find a right venue for you. If you're getting married in the Caribbean, try and get married on a beach for a ceremony if the weather is good. Also get married in a marquee, or get married, you know, outside, you know, in a garden or something, so you can really take advantage of, you know, the area. If you're getting married in Paris, because, you know, obviously Paris is the city of love, you want to make sure you get married in a place that is absolutely beautiful and has a lot of, you know, rich culture. When choosing a venue, I need water. So yes, make sure you choose the right venue. You want to make sure that, you know, if you're getting married in the Caribbean, you can get married on the beach. If you're getting married in Dubai, by all means, please get married in a hotel, because it is scorching hot. You don't want to be outside getting married in Dubai, okay? So make sure you choose the right venue. So the next tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is to keep your numbers small and cute. If you're going to have a destination wedding, I don't see why you're going to have 1,000 people. You might as well just stay in your country where you have control over everything. If you're going to go and get married in that place, it's easier for you to manage a small number of people than a large number of people. So I would say keep your numbers really small and cute. And I just keep saying cute because it just goes with small. So keep your numbers really small so that you can manage the crowd, especially when you're booking flights and accommodation, or, you know, recommending activities to do. If you have 500 people, you cannot communicate with that many people. Even your wedding planner can't. So make sure you keep your numbers small, and that way you can keep your budget lower as well. So the next tip I have for you here is sending out save the dates. Now, setting out save the dates for a destination wedding is very different to a regular wedding because this is going to have more information. For a regular wedding, you kind of tell them where to come, what time to come, and let Google and Uber do the trick for them. But when you're getting married in a destination wedding, you have to become the tour guide. So you need to tell people how to get to the hotel, what kind of flights, what the airport is. You need to tell people, you know, what the nice accommodations are, because remember, this is your wedding, so people are going to come to you for advice because they've assumed that you have done the research. So when you send out your save the dates, make sure to include as much information as you can. Tell them the currency, tell them if they need to get a visa, you know, what they need to do to get a visa. You know, you need to tell them as much information as they can so people are able to come for a wedding. Another tip I'll give you with save the dates is try and organize something fun. So because people are coming to another country, they're expecting to kind of visit the country, not just come for a wedding. So I would say include some sort of activity. The wedding me and my husband went for in San Francisco last year, there was so many things that, you know, Husna, who's our friend getting married, you know, planned, which was amazing. You know, she planned wine tasting, she planned biking down, you know, the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. So it makes it more fun and it makes your guests more excited to come. Another thing you can do when you send out save the dates is to start a Facebook group. This is very useful because people can get all the information they need there. They can talk about the activities being planned, they can book to restaurants, so you can have like a small community of people that you're talking to each other. There was a wedding that I was attending that had a Facebook group, and it was really useful because every information was, you know, put on that Facebook group. So the next wedding destination planning tip I have for you is to secure your vendors. Now, with destination weddings, first of all, you need to do your research in that country and find out the suitable vendors. And if there's a number of vendors that you're not sure you want to use, for example, if you don't want to get your dress made out there, if you don't trust the makeup artist there, or you know, anything else, make sure you know what vendors you're going to fly out. You might want to fly out your makeup artist. A lot of people do that. You might definitely want to fly out your dress because you might get it from another country. You might want to fly out maybe your hairstylist. You might want to fly out your photographer. People fly out photographers all the time. So make sure you make a plan on the vendors that you're going to book in that country and the vendors you're going to fly out, and make sure you factor this into your budget as well, because you will be paying for these vendors' flights and accommodation. FYI, if they haven't told you already, you will be paying for that. So the next tip I'm going to give you, we're almost at the end, guys. The next tip I'm going to give you on planning a destination wedding is to get a wedding planner or a wedding agency. I was talking previously in the video about travel agencies who help plan destination weddings. These people are familiar with booking honeymoons for people, and they're also familiar with weddings in these places that they have a lot of ties in the industry. So you want to make sure that the country you're going to has a wedding planner. You cannot be flying back and forth because that's a lot of money, and depending on where you're getting married, it might be times the price. So you want to make sure that there's a wedding planner in that country who can, you know, help you plan everything, and the wedding planner will have ties in that country. They'll be able to speak the language, they understand the culture. You know, I would recommend, if you're planning a destination wedding, I would not advise for you to plan that wedding yourself, just because that is not the country. You don't live in that country, you might not be familiar with the culture, so it's a very risky thing. I would say 100% make sure you get a wedding planner. Another thing I would say is that some travel agencies that actually do wedding planning packages for destination weddings, so you might want to check that out as well. There are a couple of them. All you need to do is just Google, and that will be it. So make sure you do get a wedding planner if you're planning a destination wedding. So the last tip I'm going to give you guys, this is the last one, is to have a plan B. I'm always saying this in all my videos, but for destination wedding, I feel like you need a plan C and D, because if anything goes wrong, it's worse because it's in another country. So make sure you don't only have a plan A, you have a B and a C and a D. So if you have a venue you've locked down, make sure you already have other venues that you've been looking at. Because true story, one of my friends is getting married in Dubai, and obviously she lives in the UK, and 2 or 3 weeks out of her wedding, her venue had to cancel because there's a huge conference being held in their hotel that had to take up the whole hotel and move her last minute. Now, obviously the hotel handled the whole move and everything, but if a situation like that arises where the hotel was not even going to help you move at all, what would you do? So you need to make sure that you have a plan A, B and C for destination weddings. Make sure you're on it like 100%, because if anything goes wrong, you are not there to fix it. So I'm getting a flight can be expensive, you know, just on the spot. So make sure you honestly have a plan B. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope I've helped someone understand how to plan a destination wedding. I hope I've been able to help you to understand, you know, how early you need to start planning a destination wedding, how important it is for you to do your research. You cannot just up and go to a country and get married. You have to do your research. You also need to make sure you choose an ideal location. Also make sure you give your guests enough time so they're able to, you know, plan and prepare and come for, you know, your wedding. I have a wedding vlog coming out about my trip in Puerto Rico, and it's going to be out after this video. So make sure you look out for that. It's going to be so much fun. And thank you guys for coming by my video. Bye.
Alright, babe.